Alright, so this is going to be my review of Amazing X-Men, The Quest for Nightcrawler. This is the first volume in the Amazing X-Men series. I gotta say, from just this volume alone, I am so excited to read the other two volumes. I actually got this and the other two volumes for a total of $15, really. It was $5 for each trade at this convention I went to. And honestly, I am very happy with this purchase, especially even though I have yet to read, as of this recording, the other two volumes. I'm like, man, this has probably been some of the best X-Men stuff I've read in a while, because this really feels like a Claremont story. Now, this is written by Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness, this is actually Jason Aaron's only run in Amazing X-Men. He pretty much started it off, and then the amazing team that is Craig Kyle and Christopher Yost, they get together and do the other two volumes, revolving around a Wendigo story and a Juggernaut story at the end. Now, counting the annual, it's 20 issues in total, and I have to ask, seriously, why didn't this go longer? This was just a fun comic. There's no real brooding. There's no real, oh, we're horrible people. No, it's like, let's do fun classic era stories, like classic Claremont type stories, and that's what it feels like. You're reading classic Claremont stories. Not to say Claremont didn't do dark stories, but yeah, he did do fun. He didn't do just fun stories. He did really, classic dark stories and stories that made you think. However, he did inject a lot of fun adventure stuff in here. And not to say Jason Aaron doesn't do that. He's really good at humor. Again, this dude knows how to, blend humor with a lot of action and a lot of dark moments, especially what happens with Nightcrawler in here. And yeah, it just feels like Aaron, and as well as Chris Kyle and Craig, Chris and Craig were doing this comic. They were like, yeah, let's just have fun with it. Let's just do like something you would see in the Claremont or Stan Lee era of storytelling. So the story is that this is of course the return of Nightcrawler, the resurrection of Nightcrawler. And for the longest time after his death during, Second Coming or Age of X, and I can't remember which one it was. There were so many events and pointless events in the early X-Men, like the after Utopia. I'm not going to get into it. Point being that Nightcrawler's been in heaven, and he's now, forced to, call upon the X-Men because his father Azazel is actually plundering heaven and hell. Azazel has quintessentially gathered up a bunch of damned souls ranging from Billy the Kid, Jack the Ripper, and Caligula, and several other, horrible people throughout history, and he's basically corrupted them Davy Jones style from Pirates of the Caribbean, and he's now raiding heaven and hell to capture souls to the point where he wants to be the new god of heaven and hell. So Nightcrawler has used these creatures called Bamfs, which have appeared in Wolverine and the X-Men, and they're finally explained in here. These Bamfs have made a portal for some of the X-Men to be pulled into heaven and hell. And the team, as you can see right here in this picture, this is them. Iceman, Firestar, Wolverine, Storm, Northstar, and Beast. And yeah, this is a lot of fun. The Bamfs are explained, and I'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, this is a Nightcrawler story. This feels like classic Nightcrawler just fighting his way through heaven and hell to stop his father. It's a very human story, and it's finally talking about, he had heaven, why does he want to go on one more adventure? And it's really cool because it splits up the team into different groups. You have Wolverine and Northstar trapped in purgatory. You have Iceman and Firestar, and for a short time Storm in hell, and also then it transitions to Storm and Beast in another part of purgatory with Nightcrawler. So I really like how it separates itself in multiple forms. Also, you're probably wondering, why the hell is Azazel acting like a pirate and having pirate ships in heaven and hell? I'm guessing if you were to... I feel like I have this weird feeling that Axel Alonso had this very same question for I have this weird feeling that that Axel Alonso had this same question for Jason Aaron. He probably asked, Jason, this is a really cool story, but one question, why is Azazel and Nightcrawler acting like pirates in heaven and hell? And here's Jason Aaron's response. Fuck you, that's why. That's all I can imagine. I feel like Jason Aaron went with the fuck you, it's awesome kind of logic, and I can roll with it. I can honestly roll with it. There is some great humor in here. I love when Beast, of course, is my favorite X-Man, and seeing Beast, rage out and you actually become the Beast we know him to be, and the, scientist that he is, all rolled into one. It's really cool. It is really cool, and it's actually, we get to find out that Beast's religious views, and he's agnostic, which, agnostic's kind of hard to explain, but the best way I could say is that agnostic is, they don't believe in a god per se. Agnostics don't believe in a god, but they do believe in a higher power in a way. Not necessarily God, but I don't know. I'm the wrong person to explain this, but that's kind of what I've understood. I had no problem with agnostics. Really, I got no problem with anyone. But it kind of made sense that Beast was an agnostic. I felt like when Beast said, "I'm an agnostic," and I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense. I literally said out loud in the comic, Hank's agnostic. Figured. Like, that just makes sense for him, because at one point he's a scientist and one of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe, and he puts science to everything, but he's been on so many grand adventures, he's like, yeah, there probably is something out here. Anyway, enough about that. The story of the Bamfs. Let me get into the story of the Bamf. And no, they're not badass motherfuckers. Although you could stand and make the argument that they are. Bamfs are these little creatures that showed up in the beginning of Jason Aaron's Wolverine in the X-Men series. And in this comic, it basically follows the origin of the Bamfs. It turns out that they are little maggots that were given blood by Azazel, his blood, and turned into creatures that he could use to start his war on heaven and hell. However, Nightcrawler made a deal with some of these Bamfs to help him in an exchange rather than just get his blood, because, well, he's already fucking dead. He instead gives the Bamfs his soul, meaning he can never go back to heaven, ever. So if he dies again, that's it, done. He can't go back at all. So I thought that was a really cool angle, that he was willing to give up his life in eternal paradise to stop his father. I thought that, that would be that's something in Kurt's, Kurt's life, in Kurt's, that's how he would take it. That's how far he's willing to stop his father from destroying the one place he always, thought about going. The one place he always dreamed about going. And he was willing to keep him, damning himself to keep his father from destroying paradise. And I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a really cool angle. Anyway, so yeah, the initial story arc is 5 issues long, and issue 6 in this trade is more like an epilogue piece of everyone just being like, yeah, Kurt's back! And I love the interactions of all the characters seeing Kurt. And let's face it, Nightcrawler is one of the best X-Men out there, so everyone had these great reactions. One of them, in one of my favorites, and this is not my total favorite, I'll get to that in a moment. My personal favorite is when Wolverine and Northstar are in purgatory, and Wolverine's about to just collapse to the ground. Like, he wants to find Kurt again. He wants to find him, and then he hears Kurt's voice going, "What? Don't quit on me now, mein Freund." And he looks up, and the next panel is them just hugging. Because, for those who don't know, Wolverine and, Logan and Kurt were actually very close friends. Despite their very drastically different natures, Wolverine and Kurt were like the best of buds in X-Men. So I love that little embrace between them. And then later on, when Kurt comes back to Earth, he comes back from his resurrection in heaven, back on Earth. He actually invited a majority of the other X-Men. That includes Cyclops. Of course, this is after AVX. And Kurt says, "Look, I know what you did. I was with Xavier in heaven." Xavier's in heaven too. And in here, Kurt, Scott's like, "Look, I don't want to talk." And Kurtz just cuts him off right there, and he's like, no, tonight we're going to pretend like we're a family. And he just hugs Scott, and Scott hugs him, and I was like, oh, the feels. Yeah, it was nice to see, they want to be, he wants them to pretend to be a family, because his initial family of Mystique and Azazel, they're pretty shitty. They are pretty shitty. So, also in this story, Mystique has discovered that, yeah, Kurt's alive, that means Azazel's alive, so she's gunning after Azazel, and Kurt's in the middle of it. It's a really fun story, and it's a nice little epilogue piece to just the epicness of, the X-Men being mutant pirates in heaven and fighting for heaven and hell. I thought this comic was a lot of fun. Ed McGuinness's artwork can be hit and miss sometimes for me. It can be very hit and miss, but here it felt really clean. It felt like a really clean type story. So I really enjoyed this. It was this was a great comic. Again, it has this classic God damn it! Who keeps texting me? Sorry about that. God damn. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yes. This feels like a classic Chris Claremont story. You can clearly see Jason Aaron had a lot of fun writing the characters, especially Nightcrawler. You can clearly see he really enjoyed writing Nightcrawler the most. So if you're looking for fun classic X-Men stories, I highly recommend this. I really do recommend this series. It's all out in trade. All 3 volumes are out in trade. I got this for about $5, but initially I think the comic is about $17, $18 plus, if you add tax, excuse me. But I think if you can find it for a cheap price at Books A Million or somewhere at a convention, or if you really have the money for it, I just got lucky. I'd say get it. Yeah, I'd say pick this up if you really want to read some fun X-Men comics. Then I say absolutely. Anyway, god damn it. What was I saying? Sorry about that. Anyway, so once again, hope you all enjoyed this. And if you've read Amazing X-Men, what did you guys think of it? Did you guys like it? Did you guys hate it? Just comment below, let me know. Once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.